Hi Scorpio, happy new year and happy January. We're going to pull some cards for your January message, and we're going to start with a few oracle cards to set the theme of your month. So it looks like it's just these two cards coming out, but they're strong with purpose and solitude. Oh, so you really have the opportunity to figure out your direction for the year in January, to retreat a bit. Maybe go camping, maybe go out into a cabin, wherever you can find that solitude. I mean, even just making space in your own home just to be with yourself. You're going to get some important insights into your purpose and how that can play out in the year ahead. So we're going to get some tarot cards to get some more insight into how can our Scorpios connect with their inner knowing and their guidance to set a course for their life purpose and life path in 2025. I'm going to also pull oracle cards to speak to your life path, your health, your career and studies, and your relationships. So that's going to come after the tarot cards. And your tarot cards broke in two places. So I take this to mean you have two different messages that want to come through. So for the first message, you have Page of Sticks in reverse, Wheel of Fortune in reverse, and King of Sticks upright. I kind of love how simple and direct this is, and beautiful, because you see we're starting with the Page of Sticks, and through the Wheel of Fortune turning, you end up with the King of Sticks. So court cards tend to, at least I read them as representing the person that is watching, and so this is representing you. Something that was not realized in childhood to do with your creative purpose, your creative spark for why you're here on earth, what you can bring to the world naturally with your natural vision and creative talents was squelched or discouraged when you were a child, and this led to a lot of disappointment, of course, but also like a very real result that you could not develop and pursue these talents from your childhood. So I get the sense that this is the thing that might take a little bit of soul searching and digging around to kind of reconnect and remember what were those passions you had as a child. It's going to seem so obvious, but there's some sort of layer like you've gotten used to dismissing it as not important or something that you shouldn't pursue because that was what was conditioned into you. So say, for example, you always wanted to be an illustrator. Like, say you love anime and you love to replicate the anime style, and you used to draw that as a teenager or even as a child. And at the same time, maybe your parents said, okay, that's a great hobby, but what are you going to do for your career, for real life? And so, they gave you a set list of like doctor, lawyer, accountant, for example, and you could choose only between the three. And so that's what we're talking about here, is like your worldview has been limited to those three practical options, that you forgot that being creative is a real option for you in your adult life. And this is just an example and why it would take a little bit of soul searching in January to reconnect with what that creative ability, that creative passion is. That is your purpose. That is why you came here. And I'm so happy to say that the Wheel of Fortune is turning now for you to realize that and develop those talents into the King of Sticks, where you're kind of the master of your own abilities and you become a leader through those abilities. So that's what's coming ahead for you. But in January, you just start with reconnecting to your life purpose, your soul purpose, and your unique talents. So the next message is 10 of Blades reversed, Temperance, and 9 of Blades. Interesting that the Temperance represents balance, and you have the 9 and 10 of Blades. So there's something in that step between the 9 and 10 of Blades that could do with a little bit of balance. It's kind of like you're oscillating between the two in an uneven way. I'm reading this as you can't, so 10 of Blades is 10 of Swords, and it represents the finish, right? The end of a particular journey down the 10's suit, and the 9 is right before that final step. Because the 10 is in reverse, it says to me that it's like you can't finish something, because it's like you keep with this need to balance, you keep going back to the 9 of Swords. So the 9 of Swords is usually represents anxieties that are overwhelming, overtake you, worries that keep you up at night, maybe like catastrophic thinking, always thinking the worst, always looking for the possible negative outcomes, always preparing. I'm getting like, prepper vibes a little bit from this, so if that resonates with you, that's coming through. So this energy of mentally feeling unresolved keeps you in that position of not being able to resolve this thing. And so approaching your stresses and your anxieties in life with a little bit more balance is going to help. So the balance, I want to pull some more cards, but it's coming in as balance in worldview. So you might find ways to kind of help rationalize yourself through your fears, is one direction you can go. So say you have like an intense fear of getting into a car crash. You might like go through the checklist of, okay, what is the likelihood that this will happen to me? Have I taken care of all the safety precautions to mitigate risk of a crash? Going through that list would help you leave this 9 of Blades energy of constantly worrying for something, constantly scanning for something to go wrong. What is the word for this? It's like hypervigilance. Yeah, hypervigilance is like keeping you from healing. You're very, very close though. It's just like figuring out some tools to support yourself when you notice and become aware that you're being in a hypervigilant state. Okay, so rationalizing the fears is one direction. The other direction is to look beneath the fears and see if there's something that it represents. So say, for example, if you have a fear of like your finances and your savings, and if your savings gets below a certain amount, then you kind of like spin off into this hypervigilant state. You might, working with a professional is always an option with a counselor, but you can also kind of just soul search and journal and see if this emerges for yourself. But see if there is a pattern as to like, is that savings account related to something else that's being triggered in your life? So it could be like a sense of security for you, in a broader sense, maybe something that stems from a childhood that was insecure. So that would also help you kind of leave this 9 of Swords energy and finally complete this cycle, because it looks to me like you're kind of locked into a mentality, and there are good things coming towards you that are ready for you kind of to step into this King of Sticks, King of Wands energy. but this is kind of holding you back from making that next step. It doesn't feel super, of course it's going to be life-changing when you change your outlook on life, but it doesn't feel like it's daunting to me. It feels like it's just kind of like showing up and doing the work situation, that you'll figure this out, put things into practice, and then you'll be through it. So this is kind of your work for January, with the bigger picture coming in as to why that work in January is so important for you to kind of go inward, navigate yourself to your life purpose. Okay, big stuff as always with Scorpio. I feel like I'm always prepared when I bring up Scorpio cards. Okay, so let's get a card for your career. Animal companionship, that's so cute. Share space with an animal energy. So if you have an animal companion in your life, you might want to consider bringing them to work, bringing them to school, registering them as a, what is the word? It's like a assistive therapy animal. You know, this might be like something key for you to be able to have that companionship and guidance from your animal companion as you're going through this year. I saw Healing Hands is on the back of this deck, and it says spend a few moments placing your hands on your heart, forehead, back, and back of head. So you might really want to try using your own physical self, your hands, to heal energetically parts of your body, but also parts of your spirit, focusing on the chakras. And you might want to look into Reiki energy healing, and I mean this as you as a potential practitioner. Of course, there's services that you can avail of, but I'm reading the Healing Hands as you have, you might gain something in your purpose, in gaining those Reiki skills for yourself, potentially making that a career for yourself. Okay, so I'm gonna pull now for your life path advice. Cold moon number 6. We actually just passed the cold moon on December 30th. And so you might want to consider this between the past cold moon and the next cold moon coming up in 2025. Think of it as a year unfolding. And it says here, nourish me with light, take the dreariest moments, release, and nourish me with light. I'm getting the message for you here, like very literally, to spend time in the light of the full moon. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be extensive, but you could kind of ritualize this in your own way, whatever feels like a comfortable practice for you. But spending time with the moon, you know, like going out to a garden and being under the light of the moon, and being able to reflect under the light of the moon is going to help connect you to your guidance. Yeah, that's your message for your life path. For your relationships, I'm gonna pull this deck. Go within. Wow, number 48. So relationships are a bit deprioritized for January. It's really this message of, like we started with, going within. It's being really reiterated right now. And you can also think of this as developing your relationship with yourself, with your inner voice, and your spirit guidance that's coming through. So that's the main focus for your relationships in January. Finally, for mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health, you're getting Boundary Cloak, Gentle, Loving Protection, number 26. For your own health, there's something to do with healthy boundaries. So it could be, for sure, boundaries with other people, you know, only taking on what you're capable of, not not overcommitting yourself. Um, and gentle, loving protection. So when you assert your boundaries, it's just simply acknowledging for yourself what you can and can't take on. This can be like, say, with another person. So I'm getting the story of a friend or a family member who always comes to you with their problems, and you've gotten into like a cycle of them just dumping their problems, and then like that's it, and it's not super reciprocal, and it is overstepping your ability to take on those energies. And so acknowledging that for yourself and giving yourself a a way to kind of remove yourself when you need to, when you're feeling overwhelmed, but also communicating in ways that are gentle and loving and protective to both parties, that that these are your boundaries, these are your limits. So a very clear example could be that this friend seems like thinks that they can call you at any hour of the night whenever they're in distress. So a boundary could be like, actually, I go to sleep from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. and your boundary is like no calls from there. You don't have to say it that way. Like, you could find other ways to say it too if that feels uncomfortable. You can say, oh, I'm gonna put my my phone on do not disturb from 10 to 7. So like, this is in service of like me getting the better sleep that I need, because I've noticed I haven't been getting good sleep. It's just like putting the boundaries in place, taking care of yourself, and it's gentle enough that, yeah, you're still helping that friend, but you're also not hurting yourself to help that friend. So it's something like that, where it will be very easy to accomplish once you set that boundary. You don't have to feel afraid of that. It will happen once you put that step forward. Yeah, and that's all your messages for January, and I'm wishing you the best month with that.